Skylark Outdoors here, and today we've got a treat for you. We're going to review the Northstar Ski Resort located on the north side of Lake Tahoe, and we're going to go down the Northern Lights Trail off the Zephyr Express ski lift, which we've got there to the right. But before that, if you could please subscribe, click any links below to support us. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up this ski season, and now we're going to get into our review of the Northstar Ski Resort. We're going to do a little run here. I'm going to give you some of the history and some of the facts on Northstar. And you can see it was a beautiful day. This footage was actually taken in 2025, and it had just snowed probably 4 or 5 inches the day before, and the snow conditions were just great. This is actually late afternoon, and you can see these conditions are great even after people have been skiing all day. And that is one of the things I like about Northstar, is it doesn't get as much traffic as some of the other resorts because of its location, as well as some of the things in terms of on-site facilities and lodging, which are not necessarily as abundant as some of the other Lake Tahoe ski resorts. So let's get into the stats of Northstar. It's 3,170 acres. It's got 2,280 feet of vertical drop, and the base elevation is 6,330 feet, while the summit elevation is 8,610 feet. And what you may not know about Northstar Ski Resort, it's actually an extinct volcano called Mount Pluto, and the last time it erupted was approximately 2 million years ago. Now, it has 350 inches of annual snowfall, and Northstar is actually a relatively new ski resort in the grand scheme of things. It was actually a tree farm until 1972, and then they started making it into a resort. And their logo is actually a saw blade to replicate their heritage of being a tree farm. What also is funny on this day, now I didn't see it, but somebody I took the lift with actually saw a bear crawling up one of the trees here, which I thought was pretty cool. So it is a fairly remote and rustic place in terms of the actual nature around there, where wildlife can still exist. Now, there's 20 lifts at Northstar, and the longest run is 3 miles. You've got 10 terrain parks, 100 trails, and of those trails, you've got 13% that are beginner, you've got 60% intermediate, and you've got 27% that are advanced. Right now, I'm actually on a little mogul field. It's probably hard to pick up on the camera, but this was a little bit more intense skiing. Most runs on Northstar are groomed. This is one that I just picked where they did not groom it down. So it's hard to see on camera, but these moguls are actually fairly large. I'm not a big bump skier or mogul skier, so I went down, but if you got sick during that camera footage, I apologize. It's hard to ski moguls and hold the camera steady at the same time. I'm doing a little bit more twisting and turning than I typically would do while I ski there. Now, another really cool thing about Northstar, and you won't see too much of it on this video, is they do have a nice base station that is newer. You've got an ice rink there, which is really cool. And on the day that I came, there was actually a fair amount of people sitting around the ice rink watching. They've got some fire pits, and people were ice skating and doing 360s and all kinds of different ice skating tricks. So that was just a cool way to unwind at the end of the day and have a cocktail or a hot cocoa or a snack or whatever you want to do. It's a newer resort, so most of the facilities are newer there. It kind of has that elevated experience when you compare it to some of the other resorts that have maybe been around longer and don't quite have the same new facilities that you're going to find at Northstar. In terms of just my personal opinions on this resort and what I like about it, is that they have the most snowmaking capability and coverage for any of the resorts in the Tahoe region. Almost 50% of the runs are covered with snowmaking, and they've dedicated to making a lot of snow when they need to, especially at the lower elevations, so that it's not going to get tracked out, and you have easy access at the bottom of the lifts to be able to get on and off, as well as just the snow base is better with all of that snow, making it more fun to ski. Now, one of the things about having more snowmaking capability is that when you get a low snow year, that means that you're going to be able to have better conditions than other places that are relying on natural snow. And that's the one thing about Northstar, is it does seem like they put a big investment both in snowmaking but also grooming down the terrain on those lifts and on those runs that they want to have groomed terrain. So even if you haven't had a snowstorm in a while and you're not getting fresh snow, even though here we did have fresh snow, the nice thing about Northstar is you're probably going to have better conditions than most of the other resorts if you're trying to stay on trail or on piste, because Northstar is going to groom and invest a little bit more in grooming than some of the other resorts that rely more on natural snow. And that's a product of Northstar maybe being at a lower elevation or just trying to cultivate the experience they want. Some of the resorts in the Tahoe area are at higher elevations, or maybe they get more natural snow because of where they're located, and they don't make the same investments in providing lift service terrain where they make snow. I would equate, if you've ever been to Deer Valley, Northstar to be kind of the Deer Valley of Northern California. They do put a lot of effort and time into making the experience as good as possible for a skier who enjoys on-piste runs. Now, there are off-piste runs and there's plenty of glades that you can explore at Northstar, but on a day when you haven't had great conditions, or you're in the Tahoe area and you want something different, you know it hasn't snowed in a while, my go-to would probably be Northstar because of those better grooming conditions that you're typically going to find here. Now, another thing that I did really like about this is there is paid parking that you can find probably in the village. I don't know what that costs, but I'm sure it probably has a price tag to it. I just did free parking in the shuttle serviced lots, and the shuttle was very fast in terms of, I think I parked, got my skis out of the car. I saw one shuttle go by, and by the time I was all booted and everything and ready to go and dressed, it was like another 5 minutes or so. And another shuttle pulled right up. It was a really nice shuttle, and maybe took 5 minutes or so for me to get from the lot where I parked my car directly to where I could walk onto a lift and go skiing at Northstar. Now, on this particular trail, there's not great views of Lake Tahoe, but some of the trails that are on the further south side of the resort have amazing, stunning views of Lake Tahoe. You just got to check out the different terrain, but you can see this is beautiful, really nice, beautiful, mature pine trees here. And overall, another thing that I liked about this particular resort is that it is a little bit less crowded and it always seems pretty open. They do a good job of clearing the runs to making them larger and wider so that you've got plenty of terrain even on a busier day. And I think that's one of the nice features of this, is that you're just going to have a good cultivated experience at Northstar. Now, with that being said, even though Northstar is known probably as a more elevated resort with some of the nicer facilities at the base of the mountain, it actually is the only ski resort that has a Burton sponsored or Burton based snowboard school, which is kind of cool, just if you know the heritage of Burton snowboards, and that they've chosen this resort to be the place that they are going to team up with a resort for snowboard training. Now, I'm more of a skier than I am a snowboarder, but I wish I had brought my snowboarder today because it was a really nice, good place for me to improve my skills just with fewer people and larger, wider open runs. And the terrain was great, as well as it would have been cool to talk with some of the people that maybe work at the Burton Snowboard School. So overall, Northstar, I would say it's a more elevated experience. In terms of what I liked about it is there's lots of good green terrain, lots of good blue terrain, and black terrain as well. But they do an exceptional job of grooming the snow, keeping the trails really nice, as well as making snow where it is needed. So that you can get around the resort really easily, as well as it is a nice elevated experience. I think if you want a predictable experience and you're going to take your family skiing somewhere, this is a great resort for that. I'm not saying don't go skiing there if you don't have a family, but just how they have it set up is a good spot to be able to take a family, and the conditions are such where there's, I would say, fewer people and less congestion on the mountain, which can make it easier if you've got beginner skiers or younger skiers that are learning how to ski or snowboard. It's hard when you've got a lot of traffic and just worrying about people uphill that would potentially be running into each other. Now, this was on a weekday, but you can see I pretty much have this run to myself or one or two other people, and that was the conditions I experienced pretty much the entire time that I was there on a weekday at Northstar. So I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Northstar Ski Resort. Please give us that thumbs up and subscribe. We also have a link to our Patreon or buy us a coffee if you enjoyed this. Please go ahead and support us. That's always appreciated. And once again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I hope to see you on the slopes. If you want to sign up for our email list, we got a whole bunch of cool stuff coming up this season and hopefully many seasons into the future to help keep you informed and have a good time on the slopes, because that is what it all is all about, is having a good time, getting out there in the fresh mountain air and enjoying yourself. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.